config.sys.
Nearly every developer today uses Git, the most popular tool for so-called version control. It's likely that it became a habit of yours already, but do you actually understand it? Do you know what happens on your computer in your file system when you type git checkout or git commit? Why do files suddenly change? Where do they come from? Perhaps every now and then, after launching a git command, you tell yourself, "Oh my god, what just happened?" This lesson could be useful to beginners so that they could start learning Git from a different perspective, or to experienced developers to fill some gaps and put some pieces of puzzle together. Let's create an empty folder. If we try any git command in here, nothing is going to work. We will get an error saying this is not a Git repository. But how does it know? Well, it looks for a hidden folder called .git. If there's a folder called .git, we got ourselves a Git repository. If there is no folder .git, we cannot use Git. Let's do git init to create our initial version of this special folder. Here it appears. If we rename this folder, Git will break. When we rename it back, Git starts working again. I'm going to open this folder in a separate window so that we can see its contents throughout the lesson. I will use watch utility to make it auto refresh. And I'm going to delete this hooks subfolder. It's just some sample config files. I don't want it to take up the screen space. Okay, let's create a plain text file called file1. If we run git status now, Git tells us that we got a new file that's not being tracked. How does it know? What does it even mean? Well, Git scans our working folder every time we run it, and it checks what files and subfolders do we have in it. When I run git status, Git scanned our folder, while ignoring, of course, the .git subfolder, found a file called file1, but noticed that it's not supposed to be here. Let me explain how Git jumped to that conclusion. Let's enter git add file1. What happened in our working folder? Nothing, nada. But something happened in .git. Git created a file called index and added information about file1 to that file. Now Git believes that we should have indeed this file. Git added contents of this file in archived form in objects folder. If I go and edit this file now, Git is going to notice that the file has changed thanks to the archived copy made previously. Here we got that index file that describes all files and folders expected to be found in our working folder. This is what we should have. And file1 is listed here. Let's make a commit. It's the first commit that creates a new Git branch. Our file is added permanently now. What happens if we switch the branch? What's exactly a branch? Branch is an alternative version of our folder with its own unique name. Alternative version may have more or fewer files. File contents may differ. Broadly speaking, Git is a file synchronization tool. Software development and teamwork are just one use case. So here we are, switching to a different branch, a different version of our folder. Every time we do git checkout, Git is going to swap the contents of our folder, bringing in files from the alternative version and removing what's not necessary. All alternative versions are kept in archived form in objects subfolder in .git. After making a checkout, we could just delete .git folder, and that's it. We are now forever stuck in this current version. Compare this. One branch has plenty of files, another one is almost empty. Every time I do git checkout from one to another and back, we can see how index file in .git is replaced and files appear and disappear in our working folder. Git unpacks them, then deletes them, then unpacks again. This only happens for files that are already a part of a commit. If a file is staged but not committed, it will be moved from branch to branch, from index to index. We will discuss the difference between committing and staging in one of the next lessons. So, to sum things up, Git is a tool that allows you to maintain alternative versions of our folder. In most cases, a folder with source code, but it can be anything really.